Hello, I am Merit and welcome to the first video of the channel, a replay review featuring Wraxell. This match is played on Tundra V2, a very straightforward map, but there is one key element, the hills. These block radar coverage but do not block bots from traversing them. This allows players to use the hills to stay unseen and strike from the shadows. Let me introduce both players. First, we have the blue player representing Sweden, Autopilot, sitting comfortably in the top 3 of the 1v1 ladder. And the red player, representing the United Kingdom and our underdog, Wraxell, who is just short of a spot in the top 10. Let's take a look and see if there is anything that Wraxell could have done differently to come out on top. Attacking your opponent's expanding construction units and destroying the metal extractors is a great way to get the economic lead in the early game. But it is crucial to think about the future of the game, as losing a lot of units to deal damage means you are leaving wreckages for your opponent to resurrect and use against you. There's a fine line between trading off units for damage. Too many, and the enemy will get a lot of army value for free. If you want to donate, the Red Cross is a better option than your opponent. At this point it's clear that Autopilot has the necessary forces to deal with your attack. Let's view this from a different angle, to see the battlefield more clearly. The 3 pawns in the back are not keeping up with the army. They could have accomplished a lot more by pivoting to the radar so you can sneak more units in without Autopilot detecting them in advance. You just took down a radar, blinding your opponent on the left side. It becomes clear when you look at Autopilot's player view that the left side of the map is completely dark. This is a great opportunity to abuse the left side of the map and deal some more damage. If you had pulled the pawns on the right side to the left, they would have been a serious threat to 5 metal extractors and 2 construction bots. With a small pawn force still alive and requiring Autopilot's attention at his doorstep, you can move those to the right to threaten his expansion. This would warrant a reaction out of Autopilot to move his units with yours. In the meantime, you are going undetected and wreaking havoc on another expansion. You are doing a good job of keeping his army busy close to his base. You get Autopilot to overcommit his army trying to defend the radar while he leaves his right side expansion completely exposed. This would have been a great chance to not only take down his expansion again, but also a constructor, making Autopilot unable to expand further and giving you a good angle to hide your army behind the mountain out of radar coverage. You end up going in a little late, but regardless, I feel like you could have done some considerable damage. You have the favorable angle together with Autopilot being slowed down by the hill gave you enough time to destroy his expansion and walk out with only a few dead pawns. In the end, with a bit of an APM stall, you made a very generous donation to the Autopilot Foundation. The current state of the game is still fine. Autopilot is in a slight metal and army value lead, but nothing too serious. If we compare the 2 bases side by side, we can see that Autopilot has a lot more solar collectors. Considering wind has a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 14, I certainly hope for Wraxell that the wind doesn't die for a prolonged period of time. Wraxell is going for air as his second tech, a great choice as it gives you a lot of map control. Your opponent will have to invest resources into ground-based anti-air units or by making their own air lab to make fighters. Bombing without a scout is a crucial mistake here. Scouting the base and deciding on the main target you want to go for is very important to swing the title in your favor. As we can see here, Autopilot has a good supply of E in both wind and solar, as well as 3 storages. He will not run out of energy quickly by losing some of his energy production. In this case, targeting his build power would have undoubtedly given Wraxell a much needed break. Autopilot producing units at a slower pace means Wraxell can stabilize the army value difference and put pressure back on the other side of the map. I have received confirmation that Patak has just flipped the wind kill switch. As we are watching the wind fall down to its knees, let's take a look at what Wraxell is doing. Both labs are producing units and there's only 1 construction bot making wins while the rest are spending energy. Right now would be a perfect time to let the commander and every construction bot make solar collectors. This is the only way to spend the rapidly accumulating metal and pull the derailed energy train back on track to try and stabilize the situation. Wraxell starts to notice the dire situation he is in. He is receiving a huge amount of pressure on the left side of the map, is overflowing metal and has no energy to speak of. He finally starts throwing down a few solar collectors to recover his energy. However, when your metal is already overflowing, making a metal storage should always come before anything else. Just like your hard-earned money, you do not want to burn it but rather save it to use at a later time. As the wind comes back online, the unit production starts going again, but it's just too little, too late. Autopilot has already done considerable damage to the left side of the map and has pulled ahead in every other aspect in the game. To pull off a win here would require some huge mistakes from Autopilot. The most plausible idea is going for T2 and trying to catch your opponent off guard. Jaguars, for example, are very powerful and a relatively cheap way to deal huge amounts of damage to T1 armies with little effort. With the right side expansion gone as well, Wraxell is on his last breath, but he is not giving up. His Jaguars are coming out, and he is not going to tap out without a fight. These last few skirmishes are a good way to show off the strength of the Jaguar against T1. Wraxell manages to deal a decent amount of damage and forcing Autopilot back to his side of the map. With one final bombing run, Autopilot claims victory as Wraxell taps out. We are not done just yet. We need to talk about radar coverage. A very important aspect in Beyond All Reason is intercepting your opponent's forces. The best way to achieve this is to have an abundance of radar coverage, to see the units coming from a mile away. Without this info, reacting on the spot will oftentimes be too late and you will be chasing after the problem rather than defending it. The left and right side of the map are very dark for most of the game. Because of this, some of the attacks that Autopilot throws at Wraxell could have easily been spotted and cleaned up with little effort. With the reduced stress, Wraxell could have built solars. Remember, Patak does not have a solar kill switch, so he can't hurt you in Solar Paradise. Let's take a look at Autopilot's player view during the same match. As you can see, Autopilot had a bit of a radar issue at the beginning because Wraxell kept denying the radars from being up for too long. But once Autopilot gets going, he slowly creeps forward, often overlapping multiple radars. When one radar falls, he will still be able to spot and intercept his opponent's units.
Prominent families often forget a simple truth.
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
I want to end the video with a few thank you notes. Thank you Wraxell for volunteering in the first replay review video. It took some time, but I hope you enjoyed it and especially learned from this. Thank you NtacTic for listening to me yap all day and helping with the script and feedback while making it. Thank you to the bar team for making such a disgustingly cool game that I'm totally not addicted to. And I truly want to thank you for watching this video. It has been a blast to learn and make over the course of the last few days. And of course, any feedback is always welcome. Good luck to anyone watching who will be participating in the Alpha Cup this weekend, and I will see you all in the next video.